Welcome to The Next Level, delivered by FedEx. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio by Craig Burley and Ali Moreno, and World Cup winner Frank Leboeuf joins us as well to reflect, first off, on that incredible performance from Manchester City against Real Madrid, particularly in the first half, where it was just extraordinary to see how dominant City were. How were they so good, Ali?
It felt like Manchester City had 20 players on the field and Real Madrid had 3. So much time, so much space on the ball, so much rotation of positions from the Manchester City players. And whenever they were moving the ball, it was done so quickly. 1 and 2 touches, rotation of space, rotation of position, movement with the ball, movement without the ball, and Real Madrid were just watching. They couldn't get close. It was as perfect a performance as you can get in this sort of level, in this sort of stage.
It was special, wasn't it?
It was special when you consider the occasion and the opposition and the pressure of not having a big lead from the Bernabeu. It was a tight game, 1-1. It could have went any way. I don't think I've ever seen Toni Kroos and Luka Modric looking as embarrassed as they were. I mean, Modric went off, I think, first.
Yep.
But walking off at half-time, I've never seen players with the resume that these players have looking at each other in bewilderment and going, what the hell are we going to do? I mean, what must Ancelotti have said at half-time? How do you turn that around? They didn't turn that around, but how do you try and turn that around when the game was so one-sided? I mean, it was some performance from City.
And it's what, as Craig mentions, Frank, what makes the performance so exceptional is the quality of the opposition and the experience that they brought to the table, but they were playing like a lower league side today.
Yeah, but you have to be fair to them. Real Madrid or any other team will have suffered against a team like City. City today showed that it's the best team in the world. And when they play at their best, nobody can cope with them. That's what it is. Real Madrid or anybody else. It could be Arsenal, it could be maybe Inter Milan, we'll see. But now nobody can cope with them when they play at that level with such qualities in every aspect of the game, tactically, physically, technically, because physically, we have to mention that. Yes, they know how to keep the ball, but they know how to counter-press and to get the ball back very, very soon in every area of the field. Nobody can cope with Madrid. Madrid felt like a lower league team, like anybody else would have looked like, and that's what it is with City. And congratulations to Pep Guardiola.
What's slightly different to what we've seen of great sides in the past, Real Madrid with Cristiano Ronaldo, Barcelona with Lionel Messi, it was listening to Kyle Walker afterwards, he said, we don't really have a star player that we rely on. It's this whole team ethic, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose people would put Haaland on a pedestal as the star with all those goals, but he's not really when you see the performance of Gundogan and others, so many. I mean, even Kevin De Bruyne set up the first goal for Bernardo Silva, which was a great pass and a great goal, but I've never seen him waste as many passes in the final third. So they were able to do this with Kevin De Bruyne looking tired in the end and not having his finest game in the final third. There's so many others that could step up. Alvarez and Phil Foden off the bench. So Walker is right, and that's what makes them standout favourites.
And to your point, they won this 5-1 in aggregate without Erling Haaland scoring a goal.
Yep.
So it paints a picture, right? We thought that the difference for Manchester City in this year's Champions League would be the fact that now you have a striker. Now you have Erling Haaland. And while today he had chances and Courtois came up with save after save after save, he didn't score. He had an impact on the game, but not on the actual score. And yet they put 5 past Real Madrid on aggregate. This team right now is playing at a level that nobody can touch them.
And Manchester City then will face Inter Milan in the final in Istanbul on June 10th. Let's reflect a little more on what Inter did in their victory against Milan in the second leg and what questions they have to answer with regards to team selection going into the final. We saw, of course, Lukaku link up nicely with Martinez for the only goal of the game in the second leg. Do you start Lukaku in the final?
Well, I think if Romelu Lukaku is fit, he would be playing with Lautaro Martinez. He would be first choice for Lautaro Martinez. But the question with Lukaku has been that fitness hasn't been all that consistent. And how do you take Dzeko out of the rotation now when he has been so good and so instrumental to their run in Champions League? I think you keep Dzeko and Martinez playing together, and it's a quick hook for Dzeko right around the 60th minute. You do the same thing that you've been doing, and you have to see how the game is going as well. I don't even know whether you go ahead and play with two strikers to begin with, because to be honest with you, you're going to need numbers to cover Manchester City and all the rotation that they do through the middle of midfield. And so therefore, I think the biggest question is going to be, do we play with two strikers? And if you get to that point to where you want to play with two strikers, then do you make the decision on Lukaku or Dzeko? Lautaro Martinez is going to play. I think you play Dzeko from the start. Do
you start Lukaku?
No. I mean, I might consider it if he drops £10.
Right.
But I've heard one or two. I've heard one or two say, well, I play Lukaku for his mobility. Well, one, he's not as mobile as he was, and two, apart from Martinez, neither Lukaku or Dzeko are running away from Diaz, Akanji or Walker. So what's the point trying to play somebody for mobility when they're not going to run away from them anyway? You might as well play the guy, as Ali said, who's been leading the line, who's a much more clever player and still fit in Edin Dzeko at 37, still scoring goals and more likely to give that back three or back four a few more problems. I see Lukaku coming off the bench late on, if need be. Nothing more. He's not fit enough.
Frank, how would you feel defending up against Lukaku in the final?
You know that I agree with the guys in a way that that is not mobile enough comparing to what he used to be. So if you are clever and defenders are normally always outnumbers when they defend, so they can use each other to cover and to make sure that you can handle somebody like Lukaku. And it's quite easy, you know. You put somebody very close to him, you disturb him, and the other one get the ball back. That's how it can be done. Yes, on corner kicks, on set pieces, when he's in a 16-yard box, he can be a danger because he can do headers and he can do volley. But most of the time, I would say, right now, for me, it's not that difficult. And if you have the covering of your teammates, it should be okay.
Let's take a look at the final that, of course, if it was played on paper, only one side would win it, and that would be Manchester City. But we know anything can happen in a final. Somehow your France side beat Brazil in 1998, Frank.
That's completely unfair, but whatever you want to say, my dear Dan. Yeah, I agree in a way that you can be the favorite, but a final you don't play well, you win it or you lose it, and it doesn't really matter what you do during the game. What is very important is to get the trophy, and you can count on the Italians and the history, their experiences, by doing everything they need to make sure they can disturb City, make sure they don't play the way they want, and maybe win in a traditional 1-0 from Italians.
What do you think, Craig?
City play like that, it'll be a non-contest. I mean, probably against any team in Europe at the moment, playing like that. So I don't see it. I mean, Inter Milan are, I don't know how many points off Napoli in the title race.
A lot.
Not the title race, the title's over. In terms of where they finished in the season. And Napoli have stumbled in the last 4 weeks. Yeah. Otherwise, they'd have racked up more points. So they're that many points behind for a reason. I don't see it. I see them defending, and I get it. They've kept a lot of clean sheets in the Champions League, but they've played teams that are a lot poorer. They have not faced the might of this City side. They just haven't. And I don't... Well, put it one way. City will have to have the off nights of off nights if Inter Milan are going to win this thing.
If Inter Milan win it, this could be one of the biggest shocks in Champions League history.
And I have no idea how we're going to talk about this game.
Oh.
Honestly, because if it goes against everything that we know about this game. Manchester City are far superior to Inter Milan. They are far superior. It's been a great run for Inter. It's been a cute story, if you will. And sort of the renaissance of Italian football, as some people are describing this. Renaissance is over. This final has only one winner, and that's Manchester City. If they play anywhere near the level that they play against Real Madrid, Inter, thanks for coming.
Ali, Craig and Frank, thank you very much as always. That was the next level delivered by FedEx. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.